Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rush-Henrietta School Board meeting. I would like to take a motion to go into executive session to discuss contract updates and administrative vacancies. Moved by James, seconded by Nikki. All in favor say aye.
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 We'll be moving into executive session. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Ask everyone who is willing and able to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next time I'm going to hang my flag up on the wall so everybody can see it.
Oh, yes, that's great.
We're holding up for the rest of it.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to read an executive order from Governor Cuomo in pursuant to Governor Cuomo's executive order number 202.1. There will be no in-person attendance at any regular or special meeting of the Rush-Henrietta Board of Education until further notice. To address the board regarding the public forum, items that are not on the agenda or items that are on the agenda, please submit your questions or statements to Karen Flanagan. That's Karen@rh.net or rhnet.org. So now we'll go into our regular meeting. First up is the consent agenda, the items of a routine matter. I'd like a motion to approve the consent items number 6A through D, moved by Doug, seconded by James. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Great. That brings us to our personnel actions. I'd like a motion pertaining to the approval of the personnel actions.
So moved.
Moved by Diane, seconded by Nikki. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Great. That brings us to our capital improvement workshop. Andy?
All right, thank you. Tonight, joining us is David Kay, our district architect, and Ken Nelson, our director of facilities. And what they'll be taking us through is our 3-year capital plan. 3 years is the funding that we have, and then our 5-year capital plan. The 5-year includes the 3 years of funded projects, plus 2 additional years that aren't funded, but projects that are needed. One thing we did a little bit differently this year, basically only summer of 2020 and summer of 2021 are funded with the $12.5 million proposition from last year. In 2022, we're proposing to use the budgetary transfer to capital. We've checked with the state, and it would be allowed because the voters approved in the budget line item. It says it's for capital purposes. And so the state said that isn't allowed use for it, but it's a different practice. Typically, we put a proposition out to the voters specifically for capital projects. Because we aren't doing that, we would not have any funding for the 3rd year. This gives us funding for the 3rd year, but it also does allow us next year, if the budget is so dire, we decide not to do that, we could pull those projects. So we do have some flexibility. So any questions with the funding methodology or any concerns about that 3rd year? We'll also use a little bit of our smart bond money in the 3rd year. We haven't started tapping into that yet, so we would start using some smart bond money. But the other unusual thing is year 3 is using the budgetary appropriation rather than directly out of the capital reserve, which would require voter approval. So any questions regarding that? If not, I'll turn it over to David Kay and let him take you through the projects that we're proposing. So David, can you unmute yourself and take us through it?
So, thanks, Andy, and thanks for having Ken and I in to discuss the 3 and 5 year plans. I'd like to start off, we always appreciate the board's support, and just a quick update on CIP 2019, which we're finishing up. We finished off the security vestibules at Crane, Leary, and Winslow. The staff has moved in, and renovations are almost complete in the old main office area. And those old offices are being turned into flexible meeting space and 2 offices. The site work is done at Crane and Leary, and site work is ongoing at Winslow, which is really all up in the bus loop area. And then as soon as we can turn the heat off at Crane, we will abate the boiler room and replace the boilers. But before I keep on moving on, does anybody have any questions on the security vestibules? All right, I'll take that as a no.
They all shook their head no.
Okay, I can't see anybody anymore. I don't know what happened.
I'll just make the comment that they look amazing.
Well, thank you. The staff seems to really like them so far. So today we're here to request the board to accept our 5-year plan. On page 2 of the plan, in the first paragraph, we reference section 155.1 of the regulation of the Commissioner of Education. And part of this regulation is to have our 5-year capital improvement plan. And any project that we send up to SED is accompanied with this document so that SED can compare the scope of our project with our CIP. When you look through the plan, you'll see that we use 3 X's to indicate the year we plan to complete the work. We also use 3 C's to indicate energy conservation, which I don't think there is any right now currently in here. And sometimes 3 R's to indicate projects requested by staff. And then the plan is broken down by building. This is followed by district-wide projects and long-range programs. And then we have a vertical dashed line to delineate work. Any work to the left of this dashed line is very likely to occur, and work to the right of the dashed line is desirable but unfunded and less likely to occur. And as Andy mentioned, any work that's currently under 2020 is funded, and it's currently at SED. It has gone through MEP review and is now in architectural review. Unfortunately, it's currently stuck there, and we are waiting for SED to take action. And as far as next year's projects, the summer of 21, we've started those, and those are in the design development phase. So moving on to the single sheet, which shows the 3-year plan, which is broken down by building. As Andy mentioned, at the bottom of the page is funding for CIP projects. It is color-coded for use in the columns above. And looking at the first column, in 2020 at Berger, we're going to create a secure vestibule and replace the 1993 portion of the roof. At File School, we will move the nurse's office to the first floor, which is going to be similar to what we've done at Sherman and Vollmer, and replace the fire alarm system. Moving down at the operations center, we're going to repaint the bus wash bay and replace the bus wash. And we'll also another part of that is the pump for the bus wash. We're going to update the AV in the conference room, improve the paint room exhaust, replace the in-ground lifts. We got some caulking to do on the building, and then one of the big projects over there is to mill and pave the asphalt parking lots. And inside we have some carpet we're going to replace and secure the entrance at dispatch. Further down at Webster, we're going to replace the 1993 roof and some exterior doors on the building. Moving over a column at Roth, we intend to replace the 93 roof, replace the steam boilers. We got an electronic marquee sign to install at the entrance. and renovate the library foyer area. We've added some work to the locker rooms. As you all know, they badly need it. We plan to brighten up these areas with some new lighting, lockers, and paint. And then in addition, we want to flood the rooms with natural daylight. That we're going to install skylights into those areas. And
So David proposed, well, we're putting in a new roof. It would be a good time to put in the skylights to brighten it up. And so then it just grew from there. If we're doing that, why not do the LED lighting, paint, and put in new lockers? So a lot of the renovation, the one piece we aren't touching are new showers, but at this grade level, age level, they typically don't use the showers. So this will at least give a lot more eye appeal to the locker room.
yeah, and some of the skylights do exist, and some of them are hidden. You know, way back in the 70s when they had a lot of energy conservation measures, they just roofed right over the top of a lot of these things. And then further down, see at the senior high school, we have some boiler work to do, replace a 1994 roof. We're going to be replacing the auditorium lighting controls and painting the Gordon Stadium bleacher support steel. So you know, all the steel that's underneath the bleachers. It's in pretty rough shape. And in the last column, in 2022 at File School, we're going to install a new PA clock notification system, you know, as we've done at many of the other schools, and upgrades at some selected classrooms and bathrooms. At Vollmer School, will resaturate the roof. By resaturating the roof, it'll extend the life of the existing roof and provide an additional 10-year warranty. And then lastly, at Winslow, again, we're going to replace the PA and the fire alarm system. You know, it's similar to what we've done in the other buildings with the notification system. I didn't intend to go through the 5-year plan page by page, it'd be really repetitive, but that's what we've got for the current CIP plan. Do you have any questions for Ken and I?
I don't have any questions, but I'm really glad to see that the locker room at Roth is going to get updated because I know it was kind of iffy if we had the money. So I'm very thankful that's being done. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll be a big improvement.
I second that.
I think we all agree to that. We're grateful for that.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the 5-year plan?
So moved.
Moved by Diane, seconded by May.
Can I suggest that the word increasing be deleted from that resolution that Andy drafted as I'm reading it now? In the second to last line there, Andy?
Yeah, that was I noticed that tonight. Yeah, there was a typo where.
Where are we again?
It's the second to last line. It's in before utilizing, the word increasing should just be deleted.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. We had the motions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks for having us.
And
Good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Bye.
okay. Next, we have the district policy. This is moving the class sizes up just by 1 to help with the budget shortfall. Can I have a motion to move this to first, a motion to move to first read policy 4020R, move that to second read. Moved by Anne Marie, seconded by Nikki. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Can I just say that I do appreciate the way that it's written to allow adjustments the following year back down if it's possible. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. Next, we have the superintendent report.
Okay, the first thing I wanted to talk with the board about is the meeting schedule for May. We have 3 meetings scheduled for the upcoming month. And the reason for that is that under normal circumstances, we typically would be having a budget vote and an election for Board of Education seats. But as we know, that has been postponed until after June 1st. So my question to you is, assuming that we want to keep the meeting that has been scheduled for the 5th, if the board still wants to have a meeting on the 19th and the 26th, or if we could forego one of those meetings, recognizing that one was initially scheduled because of the anticipated budget vote, which has been postponed. So if we were to reduce the meetings by 1, then my recommendation would be to continue to have the meeting on the 5th and to have a meeting on the 19th and to forego the meeting on the 26th, unless the board wants to have all 3. So I open it up for questions, comments, or discussion.
So the 5th would just be next week.
Yeah. And we already have the agenda set for that. So I recommend that we keep that one. And then the question really is, do you want to keep the other 2 on the 19th and on the 26th?
Your recommendation being keeping the one on the 19th, just to keep, any particular reason for the 19th over the 26th? Oh, that is just a week apart. Now I'm doing the math in my head. Okay.
Yeah, we would have the, so we are scheduled to have a meeting next week. I recommend that you keep that one because of the planning that's already in place. But I recommend doing the 19th as opposed to the 26th only because we have some items that need to come before the board. And I think it will be better to get those in front of you sooner than later.
Sounds good to me.
And also it allows us the opportunity as things change, with the governor, quicker conversations if we need to have them.
Right. So we're okay to forego the meeting on the 26th then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay, then we'll make adjustments accordingly and communicate accordingly as well. I did want to update you on where we stand related to our extended learning plans, closure and the budget. In some respects, we have some new information, and in other areas, we're still awaiting information. I continue to be incredibly impressed by our Rush-Henrietta team. I have to say that everybody has worked really hard to make sure throughout this closure and this really difficult time that students and families have what they need. So kudos to Dina and the principals and the teachers and everyone who helped with the rollout of the Extended Learning Plan 2.0. I think generally speaking, that's been smooth. And I say that recognizing that I'm sure that, we've learned lessons and there are things that we can improve going forward as well. But people worked really hard across the board to make sure that was implemented in a measured, thoughtful way. I think this has been a week where I think there has been a certain degree of optimism. You've probably heard that from the governor as we've been meeting collectively with superintendents across the county and the Department of Health. There seems to be a renewed sense of optimism in some respects about our ability to reopen certain aspects of community life as it relates to things like healthcare and certain aspects of small business. And we're, as you know, awaiting word to see what's going to happen in respect to school closure. Right now, we are officially closed through May 15th. and we'll await word to see if we're going to remain closed beyond that date, or if there is going to be reopening. I think the challenge as it relates to schools are the requirements, the challenge that it presents really in terms of physical distancing. For those of you who have spent any given amount of time in school, it will be a challenge. Everything from bringing kids to and from school on buses to passing in the hallway to feeding students at breakfast and lunch. It promotes, or it presents, I should say, a challenge in that respect. So I think everybody is eager to get back to school and get back to business as usual. I think everyone just wants to make sure that it's done in a way that is thoughtful, organized, and most importantly, safe. So we'll wait to hear what the governor says about reopening schools. As far as the budget goes, we did get some additional information over the weekend, which suggests drastic reductions in state funding because of the impact that the pandemic has had on federal, state, and local economies. So I think we have to brace ourselves for extreme reductions in revenue over the course of the next couple of years. And obviously that's going to impact our decision-making in terms of programming and staffing. We've weathered this first wave of reductions, I think, as best we can. And I think that's a testament to thoughtful planning. Give Andy a big shout out there, him and his team. And I really want to also recognize everybody on cabinet, Nerlan, Pat, Dina, because this has really been a team effort in terms of how we handle this unprecedented situation. You know, we thought this was going to be a ho-hum budget year, and that we were positioned really well, and then all of a sudden we weren't. So we had to make some quick decisions, but we tried to focus those initial reductions that you saw at our last meeting around non-personnel reductions. And even as we reduced positions, we were able to do it in such a way where we didn't have to lay folks off, and that was the primary goal, was to preserve program to the extent possible and to avoid layoffs. And we were able to do that in this initial wave, but we know that we're going to be in a difficult position like every other school district in New York State going forward, and we're going to have to make some hard decisions, and that became clear over the weekend with what is potentially being proposed. There's still a lot of question marks around exactly how much we're going to be looking at in terms of a gap, and exactly how these reductions are going to be implemented at the state level. So we should know more, I'm told, after May 15th. And we'll be in a better position to know exactly what we're dealing with at that point. A lot of people are asking questions about APPR, performance review. It has been recommended by the state education department that be suspended for this year, but that's being held up at the executive level. And again, we're waiting word on that. We're still awaiting word on the budget vote and the Board of Education elections. All we know at this point is that it's going to happen after June 1st. We're hopeful that we're going to hear some more detailed information on that really soon. What I consider to be a highlight today, we distributed yard signs for seniors at the high school. Had the opportunity to stop by there just for a little bit, just prior to the meeting, and it was nice to have folks over there volunteering to distribute signs for a hot second, things felt normal, other than the fact that everybody was wearing masks and standing 6 feet apart. But I think it's a nice way to celebrate our seniors during a really difficult time. I think we all feel for students who are in their last year of high school and are looking at potentially missing a lot of these milestone activities and events. I can't even imagine being in that situation and how hard that is for folks. And so we're sympathetic to that, and we've gotten a lot of folks reaching out to us. You know, it's sort of this whole thing has unfolded in sequence, and you know, initially it was a lot of how we were going to handle a lot of the technical aspects of closure and how we were going to provide basic services for families, and then it shifted once we got beyond a week or two in terms of what our extended learning plan was going to look like, and we were able to get that in place. And then, you know, how we begin to provide special education services and mental health services. And Nurlan and her team have been incredible in terms of setting those things up. And now the thing that people are reaching out to us and asking is, well, what about all the activities and events that would typically happen at the end of the school year? And we're getting a lot of feedback on that. Some things, you know, we would be able to implement, some things we can't. But nevertheless, it's something that's on the radar, and we're beginning to look at, you know, what more than likely will be canceled. What are the events that we can postpone until fall or later in the year? And then what are the things that we want to celebrate this spring, but given the circumstances, it may just mean that we have to do it in a way that is a bit different than we've done it in the past. And so that we're beginning to shift our focus to those things, recognizing that you know, we're still lacking in information. We really don't know yet when we're going to be coming back. And when we do come back, whenever that is, what guidelines and restrictions may be in place. But nevertheless, we're beginning to pull folks together and begin to think about what that could look like. And I know with the older students, you know, I've had some parents reach out and say, anything you can do to solicit student feedback would be appreciated. And I know that Tim and Dr. Schaefer and his team at the high school have already started to work with student council to see what can be done to get some student input into how they feel, what is most important to them as we think about year-end planning. So that's where we are. Questions or comments? Okay, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Great job, everyone.
Okay, next we have new business, the calendar. I don't know if I know everyone's taking a look at the calendar. I have a question about the November 24th meeting. That is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And I didn't know if people were comfortable, if anyone had any travel plans, retirement plans, any kind of little vacations planned. I didn't know if we were okay with keeping that date as is or looking at moving that date. Any thoughts?
No. Let's leave it.
Leave that? Okay.
Have you ever done it that week before? We have? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So everyone's okay with the calendar as is? All right, good. Then we'll keep that.
Jennifer,
Yes.
one other question was, the dates for May say the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th of May. The 11th should be May 4th.
Okay, so it should read the 4th, the 18th, and the 25th of May?
Correct.
Okay. So with the correction of May 4th, 18th, and 25th, we'll keep the November 24th. Everyone's okay with that before Thanksgiving? Does the calendar look okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Budget reports. Did anyone have any questions on the board budget quarterly report? No. Okay. Next we have board reports, and we do not have any meetings due to COVID. Bo and I will be submitting the Monroe County School Board Association has a vote for the budget, and we are approving their budget, which would mean I believe a $77 increase. So we're going to approve that, and that will be done this week. But as far as everything else, all the other meetings were canceled due to the COVID. Anyone else have any questions? That brings us to the close of the report. Close of meeting, May board recaps.
Next meeting is May 5th, and the meeting after the May 19th, and there's no meeting on May 26th. That's it.
So that will bring our board meeting to a close. I was a little excited when I read the email about the signs, and due to my boredom, I got out my school yearbook. So in recognition of the seniors, I'm asking any other board member to embarrass themselves and maybe post right down here, their high school picture. If you want to embarrass yourself, I'd love to see them. And even cabinet members, I'd love to see them in support of our seniors, which I've been thinking about them a lot. And this is what you do when you're bored. You start cleaning your basement and finding these great treasures.
Jennifer, where would you like that posted to?
I don't know. You know what? Maybe we could give them to Travis, Bo. Could we give them to Travis and he could post them to our Facebook page?
Sure, I'm sure Travis and Heather would certainly find use for those treasures.
Some giggling and some photos of the lovely 80s hairdo. I mean, come on. How tall can we get our hair in the 80s?
Or any hairdo.
All right.
And I had a doozy.
That's something that our seniors would like to see.
I'm sure they would, and I'd love to see James with the hair. So I'm inquisitive. I guess that brings to close our meeting. Could I have a motion to adjourn our meeting? Moved by Diane, seconded by James. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Our meeting is now closed. Thank you, everyone.
Night, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.